Good morning, folks, and we are back in the saddle at the Cape Cod Canal. And welcome to this edition of Saturday Mornings Outdoors. And my name is Paul K. And we're on the Cape Cod Canal fishing for stripers. And we'll give you all the rundown on the conditions and all that there. And hopefully we can hook up with stuff, stripers. And thank you very much for joining me today. We'll let you know. So this week's conditions are greasy flat. It's a west tide. It's going to flip east very shortly. The temperature is 63 degrees on the way in this morning, and the moon is in the first quarter, building on the first quarter, so the tide shouldn't be too strong. Barometric pressure is 30.00 and dropping, and it's like basically rain for the next week is forecast. So I wanted to get a barbecue off this weekend, so hopefully I can, and we'll see what happens with the rain. If not, I'll be cooking my Chinese brand sausages indoors. I didn't mean to get that technical, but you know what I mean. It's been raining all the time, and it's really bizarre pattern that we're in. It's relatively comfortable. It's kind of humid today, but it's been raining. You know, down the Cape last weekend, rained all weekend. Still had a great time. Caught fish, but it's just not a normal pattern. But anyway, so those are the conditions today. The tide will be flipping east, my favorite tide, very shortly. So it's slowing down on the west side right now. So we'll let you know what happens. Let's see if we can get some stripers. That is not good news right there. There's a big old seal right here. We just need him to get out of here. Jeez. And down the Cape, move around to get away from that. I come up here and the seal's in the canal. What you gonna do? See if he pops up again. It's a big one too. There's about 5 guys fishing in that direction. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I hope he keeps rolling. So there's cormorants everywhere, diving ducks or birds. And where there's cormorants, that means there's bait. I can't see any bait in the water, but there's a lot of wildlife movement right now, so that means there's bait here, and that's a good sign. And cormorants keep diving too. They keep going down and coming up, so they must be getting breakfast. If you look closely, right there, you'll see a mink. He showed up looking for his breakfast too. A lot of wildlife this morning. He'll probably pop up. They're generally good luck. Here he is, right here. He's right in front here. There he is, poking his head up. Cool. Giant crane. Man, I'm seeing it all today. That's a fishing bird right there. You gotta set up shop down there. There's got to be bait in here. There's definitely bait. I didn't see any with my eyes, but so far in like an hour I've seen big fat slob seal, cormorants, a mink, and heron, all equals fish. When's my turn coming? I hope it's coming soon. And the tide has passed slack now, and it's just shifted to the east. and we'll see what happens. Also, another thing I neglected to mention, the wind direction. It's southeast today, very kind of muggy, damp, and it's thick of fog, so those were the conditions, but plenty of wildlife. And another cool thing, it's very subtle, but if you look close on these calm days at the change of the tide, you can actually see the tide movement. That's not boat wake, that's the tide. It's just shifted, and that's the stronger currents building through, coming through the canal. You know, it's pretty interesting that you can actually see it, the flow, because it's a constricted area. Very interesting to me. Fish on, I hope. Actually pretty good eating, but I ain't gonna eat them. I'll let them go. They got a lot of fight to them. Pretty feisty. Pretty strong, but I'll let them go. Hey, it's a fish. Well, it's a start, and don't let anyone tell you those ain't good to eat. Tried them many times myself, and when you go to England and you order true fish and chips, that's what they are, sand sharks, and those are the exact species. And they, you know, on all the party boats, they treat them like crap, and you know, and I don't know, I believed what they all said until I tried them, and then they're wrong, that's all. Same with skate, although there's not a lot of meat on skate. There's a lot of cartilaginous bone through them, but skate is absolutely delicious. Tastes like scallops and smells like scallops when it's cooking. But good fighters, but we're not here for sand sharks, so let's see what comes of this. You know, look at that. Look at these. These are cool, right? They're in bloom. I mean, it's a spectacular place. I mean, sometimes you come down here, it's relatively dead. Other times, like today, it's just teeming with all kinds of life up in your face. You know, I mean, it's just so much life here. There's just an incredible diversity of nature that's here. And that's, you know, one of the reasons why it's an exceptional fishing spot. We're all predators, and we're here for the food. Pretty much it. There's a ton of non-stop bike guys out today. It's kind of strange. It's usually quiet this time of the week that I do this, and something must have happened during the week, like blitzes everywhere, I bet. but there's a ton, way more than normal bite guys, so that means something's been going. Just had a double over hit on the Van Staal, but the hook didn't take. I hate that. Get you off fire. Fish on. Love me that east tide, boy. That east tide in the spring, it's just really productive. But that was 23 inches. Let them go and rolling on. See what else happens. There's too much life here not to be stripers here, and there's too many of the bite guys out not to be stripers here. Rolling on. So this week's Rat Boy tip concerns bait preparation. Normally when I get down here, the first thing I do is get my bait knife, and I get 4, 5, 6 mackerel, and I chunk them up, and they're frozen, and I'm excited. I want to get fishing, but they're frozen, and I'm not cutting the bait really the proper way, because when you rush, when you're cutting the bait, when it's frozen, you're tearing the skin, and you're just wasting that. That's just going to be a wasted hunk of bait when the skin is torn on the bottom, because when it thaws out, gets out in the water, it's just going to just break apart. The skin pretty much holds it together. So I kind of stumbled. It's a constantly evolving thing, the surf fishing. You're always thinking of better things, ways to go. Now I simply do it before I go home, the night before, or the morning before. I'll simply get all my rock solid frozen mackerel that I bought, and I have a giant butcher knife, extremely thick and heavy, and you just drill through it, and it's super sharp. You get these nice clean cuts on the bait. What I mean to say is, see, that was cut when it was frozen. Look how sharp those edges are. That's a beautiful piece of bait right there, because the skin is going to hold that all together when it thaws out and gets out there in the ocean. So as opposed to when you're hurrying through and you're tearing the skin, that bait's not going to last long at all. It's just going to fall apart. You're just making crab food. So basically, I pre-cut the bait and just throw it back in the freezer. It's just chunks of bait like this. Look at how clean those cuts are. And the next morning, just take the bag, throw it in the ice, my cooler, and rock on. And you hardly ever, you're paying good money for the bait. The price is going up. Whoop, is that a kind of a hit back there? You might as well get use of every chunk. I hate getting it's just a waste, I mean, you end up just chumming and throwing it out there and, feeding the crabs, the Godzilla crabs. So that's this week's rat tip for the week. So at this stage of the tide, that radar rip that builds right here. You can see that line. You can hear it from here. It's just roaring. Just really, it doesn't last long, maybe half hour, 45 minutes, but that's a crazy killer spot to fish. The bait fish gets disorientated in it, and the more powerful fish, stripers, blues, whatever, just ambush them. But you can hear it from here. I'm a good 400 yards away, 300 or 400 yards away, and you can hear it roaring. Quite amazing. Another astounding feature of the spectacular Cape Cod Canal. Fish on. Damn it! That was the fish of the year right there. Son of a bitch. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. That was heartbreaking. He just kept taking drag, man. And then I felt it just tore out. I mean, the drag was set right. It was actually a little bit too light, but it just gave out. He wasn't hooked good enough with the circle, but man, that had some shoulders. Oh, that was the fish of the year. I'll be dreaming of that. That's fishing. You saw it. That's the power rod too. That's the conventional, and I couldn't stop him. I was kind of afraid to put pressure on him, let him finish his first run. They kind of give up after their first run sometimes. And just running, and then it just gave out. The hook didn't take purchase. Disappointing. So it was probably the world record striper, and that's it. It happens, That's what you think after you lose it. That had some backbone though. That was just strip and drag on the conventional, and I generally set it so I can just barely pull it off, and then I just felt it rip out. But anyway, I'll stop whining. I'm running low on bait. I think this will be I'll call this a day here. I'm kind of forced to with the bait, but they are here, and that's the wildlife here today. And this is it, the opportunity. You never know when it's going to happen, man. That literally could have been a 50 or 60. I'm just dreaming, but I mean, the pull drag like that, that's what makes this a world-class place, man. And it gets in you, and you got to get out here. So I really want to thank you guys. I love you guys. I have a lot of fun bringing this to you. Please like and subscribe. Very important for the channel, especially the subscribe part. And comment, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. Keep it rolling. And thank you very much for coming along. My name is Paul K. This has been Saturday Mornings Outdoors. We'll see you next week. Bye.